Hello everyone, it's Silvia from Feel Like Tarot. Welcome to my channel and welcome to Malaysia. So my husband and I are on holiday in Malaysia and I'm going to be filming these videos whilst vacationing. So obviously there's gonna be some differences. You will notice some differences from my usual videos. First and foremost, you'll probably seen it already, my gear is different. So I have to use different kind of gears because obviously I cannot bring with me what I use in my studio. So when it comes to holiday, I'm more of a traveler than a tourist. So I'll do my best to show you some bits and pieces of our holidays, of what we see while we're traveling, and the people we meet, and the food that we love so much. And Malaysia is just an amazing country.
Have you ever wondered how a nation can progress rapidly while still holding on to its tradition and cultural values? Malaysia, a country known for its dynamic economic growth and diverse cultural heritage, serves as a prime example of this phenomenon. Despite experiencing significant modernization and development, Malaysia has managed to preserve its traditional values and customs, making it a unique and fascinating country in Southeast Asia. Malaysia's rich cultural heritage is evident in its diverse culinary scene. The country's food offerings are a fusion of Malay, Chinese, Indian, and indigenous influences, creating a mouth-watering array of dishes that cater to all tastes. From the iconic nasi lemak to the spicy laksa and the aromatic roti canai, Malaysian cuisine is a reflection of its multicultural society. By preserving and celebrating these traditional recipes, Malaysia not only honors its past, but also showcases its cultural diversity to the world. What Steve and I have found in our quest to find a link between tradition and modernity is that Malaysia's ability to balance rapid development with the preservation of its tradition is truly commendable. By holding on to its cultural values, tradition, and customs, Malaysia has managed to carve out a unique identity for itself on the global stage.
But let's talk about tarot.
In Malaysia, traditional beliefs and practices often intertwine with modern influences, creating a fascinating blend of cultural customs. One such example is the incorporation of divination practices, including tarot reading, into the rich tapestry of Malaysian traditions. Despite the rise of technology and globalization, many Malaysians still turn to these ancient practices for guidance and insight into their lives. In Malaysian culture, divination has a long history and is often linked to spiritual beliefs and superstitions. Many Malaysians consult mediums, shamans, or spiritual healers for advice on various aspects of their lives, such as health, relationships, and career choices. These individuals are believed to have a connection to the spirit world and possess the ability to communicate with ancestors or spirits to provide guidance and wisdom. Tarot reading, although not originally a Malaysian tradition, has gained popularity in recent years among the younger generation. Many Malaysians see tarot as a tool for self-reflection, personal growth, and decision-making.
So like last year, I went to the Petronas Towers, and very close to the Petronas Towers, there's a fantastic shopping mall, and it's called Surya KLCC. And at the top floor, the fourth floor of this mall, you will find Kinokuniya. Kinokuniya has in Kuala Lumpur one of the biggest branches I've ever seen, aside from the Kinokuniyas I've been to in Tokyo. It is a very big store and there is a fantastic selection of books, especially when it comes to my favorite genre. But I have to say, there's also a fantastic collection of books and tarot decks and oracle decks. But let's have a look at what I bought. This is actually not a deck that I bought. Let me just zoom in because it's already tiny by itself. And obviously, if we're far away, we're not going to see much of it, are we? So this is the Osho Zen Tarot. This is the pocket edition. I didn't buy this one. I actually did buy this on a Kinokuniya, but it was last year. And I'm so very happy that I brought it in my vacation, in my holiday, because it is a really great deck to use when you're traveling. It is a mini deck, so obviously it doesn't occupy that much space and it's not very heavy, but you have, you know, packed in such a tiny space, you have packed all of the wisdom of the Osho Zen Tarot. And by the way, it was so much fun. So with my members, I recently did a live discussion of the Sacred She Tarot, which is by the same illustrator of the Osho Zen Tarot. So Madhava Padma, who, by the way, when it comes to the Sacred She Tarot, she is the whole sole creator of the deck, not just the illustrator, like it had been the case for the Osho Zen Tarot. We had a really amazing night, so much fun, and I'm planning to do a live video if I can once a month with my members, because I really noticed that it's really, really nice to have this sense of community, seeing each other, because I share a link that you guys can use to appear on camera with me. And so there's a really lively discussion going on, especially when it comes to a deck. I feel that it's better when I can hear somebody else's opinion about the deck, and then we can discuss about it live. And the other members were able to chat, so we were able to read what their thoughts were. So it was very much fun. And I was comparing the Sacred She Tarot to the Osho Zen Tarot. So we had some really important insights, I reckon, on this deck. But as I said, I'm very happy that I've got it with me in my travels, because it is one of those decks that when I read for others, like I always do during my holiday, I feel that some decks are well perceived and others are not, and it really depends on the person I'm reading for. But I noticed that whenever I read with Osho Zen, and before the mini I used to take the full size of this deck, there was always a lot of emotions related to the readings that I was giving out with this deck. So I'm really looking forward to see what readings I'm gonna give with this deck for this holiday. And then let's have a look at what I bought from Kinokuniya. So as you can see from the images, there is an amazing selection of minis, and I decided to go ahead and buy 3 decks that I actually don't have, not even full size in my collection. So let's have a look. So this one, the first one, and I will have to zoom in even more because it really is tiny. So this is the Witch's Tarot by Ellen Dugan. The artwork is by Mark Evans, and this is by Llewellyn. So it's a Llewellyn publication, and obviously it comes in a tag box, because as you can imagine, as good as Llewellyn is, they cannot possibly provide you with a mini deck when you know, where they also give you the guidebook, which in Llewellyn's case is always a companion book, not just a guidebook, and it's always really interesting. So I'm perfectly happy to have a tag box in the case of a mini deck. If you guys have this deck, do you have the full size, and do you how do you rate the guidebook? Because I'm wondering, if I really like the mini, I may actually splurge and buy the full size version just because of the guidebook. These are the backs. See, these are very familiar. I feel like there's a lot of people that have this deck, because I've seen these backs on Instagram a number of times, so they look very familiar. So the Witch's Tarot, obviously I expect there to be a rather feminine or divine feminine kind of energy, but you never know, because sometimes I feel that Llewellyn decks are actually very good when it comes to a sense of balance and decks being really grounded. For example, I have actually seen the Bybee Tarot at Kinokuniya the other night, and I'm planning to buy that as well. It's just that we have a lot of internal flights within Malaysia and Borneo. And oh, I love Karnuno for the World card. That looks amazing. And I think that the maximum weight you can carry is about 10 kilos per person, and we're already over that. So I will have to be careful not to buy too heavy decks, possibly on the way back, because after we have done the tour of Borneo, and then we're going to Penang and Langkawi, Cameron Islands, and we're going to Vietnam as well. Which is going to be really exciting, because in Vietnam we're going to a very famous and huge tarot shop where there'll be a lot of indie decks as well. So I am very, very excited about it. And then possibly, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but it looks like we can go. We're gonna go to a tarot museum on the Mekong Delta. I mean, two of my favorite things on the planet, the Mekong Delta, because I'm an absolute sucker for rivers, and the Mekong is one of my favorite rivers around the world. And a tarot museum, which is fantastic. So I'm very happy about that. Okay, so we've seen this. I feel that I probably would benefit from a full-size version of this deck, simply because it's really tiny, and even though I am actually wearing my reading glasses right now, I couldn't really tell much about the scenes. There's a lot of minutiae, a lot of details, a lot of symbols. But for now, I really wanted to have minis. One for, you know, the fact that I don't have a lot of room, but it's also because they're just easy. And I feel like there's a mini trend that is going on lately in the world. So quite happy to have this deck. Let's have a look at the next one, which I'm very excited about, and it's the manga. The mystical manga tarot. This is also by Llewellyn, and it's also a mini, so I'm expecting them, the three that I bought, to be all from Llewellyn. By the way, I was trying to open the tack box, and I had to stay out of camera because, I don't know if you noticed, but I have a bit of a situation here with my nails. So I had a bit of an accident. I went to remove my acrylic nails, and I was assigned what I believe now to have been a trainee. So she didn't know how to remove them, but instead of asking, she started pulling them. So I'll let you imagine. So obviously, she only did that for the first nail, and then I told her, obviously I said, this is not the way to remove an acrylic nail. And then she asked for help, and they told her, and unfortunately she filed way too much, so I actually have bruises and dents on my nail beds, which is not the best, and I can assure you they're actually quite painful, to the point that now even holding a pen and putting pressures on my fingertips is actually rather painful. So I've been told to wait at least a couple of weeks before I even think about doing anything to my nails. And I'm very you know, because I'm traveling, I'm actually okay with that, but it was a kind of a horrific experience, if I have to be honest. So getting back to the deck, the mystical manga tarot. I feel like there is a pull. Yes, I can pull this here, and then it comes out, comes off. And I'm very excited about this deck, because this deck wasn't available at my local Kinokuniya in Sydney, the full-size deck, not even the mini, of course. And then I actually looked into buying the mini or even the full size from Amazon, but it needed to come from the US. And it was actually rather expensive, other than taking a long time. And so I never got around to buying it, but I look at it now and I'm already thinking that I absolutely need the full size version, because this is really gorgeous. I really love manga. It is something that I grew up with, basically. I grew up mainly with anime, but obviously manga are, you know, the printed version of anime. When I was little, I don't know why, but we had an influx of Japanese anime in Italy. Everyone from my generation will remember just sitting in front of the TV for hours, because back then, our parents didn't really think that it was a bad thing for us to be watching TV for a few hours every day. And I have to say, I've never had any problems. But obviously, you do you. But for me, it was a very formative experience, because I absolutely came to love manga. And even now, I am partial to a good manga. Look how beautiful this is. This is the Five of Cups. And it does have that kind of really nostalgic kind of atmosphere, that sadness. It feels like it's a universal kind of sadness. And it's really beautiful. It's so very evocative. I absolutely love the sky and the clouds in the background. And obviously the Six of Cups, in my head, it needs to be a manga image when it comes to the Six of Cups. Because obviously for me, that nostalgia comes from when I think about that, exactly that time in which I was watching anime and reading manga. So I really, really love this deck. There's a few decks that come from Japan that are very much in the style of manga, and I really appreciate it. I also noticed that in many cases, now that I have studied and I know a lot more about yokai, so the Japanese supernatural beings, I also know that a lot of manga and anime are actually including beings from the yokai world. So it's actually really interesting to be able to find them. I'm not entirely stoked about the chord cards, to be honest. They feel like they are very similar. I do understand how to differentiate them. Obviously, this is the queen, this is the king, because they have crowns. And this is the knight, because it does show a horse, and this is obviously the remaining one, which is the page. But I would have loved some kind of differentiation. Other than that, I really, really enjoyed this deck. It's really beautiful. I feel like I definitely would want the full-size deck whenever I can, whenever it's possible for me to have it. It is really manga style. It is, if you know, if you're familiar with the manga style, you will see how faithful this is to that. Even though I have to say, obviously, manga came in different styles, so it's not entirely true what I'm saying. But it's this kind of style. It looks like these are dolls, and but with a bit of a Eastern flair to them as well. I was kind of looking for the chord cards in the suit of the wands as well, and then the suit of cups. I really love this Five of Cups. Yeah, so they are similar. Obviously, they have different colors. So we've seen the red for the wands and the blue for the cups, and I imagine, okay, a greenish kind of teal for the swords, and a light green for the pentacles. I would have loved more differentiation when it comes to colors, but it doesn't matter. This is a really nice deck. And also I have to say they were very affordable, the prices of these mini. So in general, decks I notice are actually cheaper here in Malaysia. The ones I've seen are all 1000% legit. I have not seen any fake decks, at least not yet. But when it comes to the prices, they are at least a bit more affordable than in Australia. So I'm quite happy about that. And now let's have a look at the last deck that I bought, and I'm so very happy about this one. This is the Gilded Tarot by Ciro Marchetti. This is the Gilded Tarot Royale. I don't know whether there's a version of this deck that is just called the Gilded Tarot. And funnily enough, I was actually really interested in this deck. I don't even know if the full size is still available or not. I think it might be, but I remember reading somewhere that one deck by Ciro is actually not available anymore. It's one of those published by Llewellyn, and it's either going out of print or it's already gone out of print, and so I don't know what happened at Llewellyn this year. Obviously, we were talking about the Tarot Vampires and how we were trying to understand how it works. So how does a company decide which decks are going out of print and they're not going to be reprinted? And the Tarot Vampires is extremely popular. And so I really don't understand what drives that decision. And it might be based on contracts. Obviously, when a contract is expiring, they don't renew it for whatever reason. But it's such a pity, because I really believe that, especially when a deck is so popular, and I know that the Tarot of Vampires by Ian Daniels is very popular also because of the guidebook. And personally, I have to say, I didn't think that that was my style, my art style when it comes to the images, but I've had it for about a year and I actually love it. I really like it because I have a lot of oracle decks by, for example, there's the Gothic Oracle, which is pairing up really, really well with the Tarot Vampires. So whenever I have an oracle deck that pairs up really well with the tarot deck, I'm very happy about pairing them up together, and it gives a kind of a new life to the tarot deck, or vice versa to the oracle deck. So what we're looking at here obviously is a Chiro deck. So Chiro decks are pretty much recognizable. If you have one of them, you will be familiar with this style. I have a few decks by him. I absolutely love them. I think that the ones that have no borders like this one are my favorite. So the Mystic Palette, both the Sepia edition and the colored edition, but also the Gilded Royal. But also I'm thinking about the Anchor, but the Anchor has got a rather thick border, but that one is also nice. I don't mind the border on that one. So very cosmic vibes that I'm getting from these cards. And I'm very excited by using these on. And also, let's have a look at the backs. How beautiful are these? I really, really like them. So I don't have the full-size version of this one, but I may splurge again if I find it. I may go for it. And I saw someone listing the indie version of this deck for 750 Australian dollars on a Facebook group. So I'm thinking the indie edition might be quite valuable. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it seems like it's quite valuable. Again, a really amazing deck. Absolutely love the artwork. So it's been a couple of days and I'm in Borneo right now, and the Wi-Fi is actually not the best. So I'm having kind of trouble in uploading the videos, but I just wanted to show you a couple of rings that I found. As you know, I really love rings, and when I find myself in, especially in Southeast Asia, I always try and find some little gems that I like. So yesterday night we were in the market in Kota Kinabalu, and they have some really unique rings that I've never seen. So let me just remove these ones because I can show you how they look. I just really, really like the artisanal products that I can find here. And we're supposed to go to a village as well. So I'm thinking, hopefully I'm going to be able to find some unique products as well, like rings just handmade. These ones don't look like handmade, but they're quite cute. You can see this one with the small butterflies here. And then I found this one, which is one of the rings that I actually saw a few women wearing, and I was asking them where I could find them. And that's how I found this market, just on the side of the sea. And they have these really beautiful, huge night markets. It's something absolutely incredible. They have stalls upon stalls upon stalls. And on the one hand, they also sell food. So you can actually stay there. You pick your seafood and they cook it, they grill it right in front of you. It smells fantastic. It's just an absolutely wonderful experience. So this one here is really cute. And also, as you know, I also really love when I can put some ring on my thumb fingers, because I just really, really like it. And this one, these, by the way, these are not real pearls. I know that there's a few places here in Borneo where you can actually find real pearls, but as I am not 100% sure about how they have been sourced, I don't think I will purchase them. And it's also because they're probably quite expensive, but mostly because of, sometimes they will come with a certificate, and they will have been ethically sourced, but I'm not entirely sure. So these ones are not real. But I really, really love these three. And yeah, so this is, you know, it's a little bit like this. I mean, one day I'm able to upload something, and I have been up to yesterday, and then all of a sudden it was just really patchy at best, and I cannot use my coverage because I only have limited gigs. But we'll see, we'll see. So all of the videos for the members will be updated regularly, so there will be absolutely no disruption on the members only videos. But when it comes to general videos, you know, it's what you always accept when you're traveling. It's something that can happen. You know, Wi-Fi is not something to be taken for granted. And I, for one, I always understand that, you know, there's different priorities, of course, when you're traveling. So since I'm here, I also wanted to talk about a couple of books that I've been reading. So I have finally finished The Har by Steven Soderbergh, and I absolutely love Dave Soderbergh. I absolutely love that book. It's been really, really interesting. As you know, I really love the horror genre, and this one had a bit of a romance to it as well, which was it made it a very interesting experience, I would say. And I also finished the horror movie by Paul Tremblay, which is the new one by Paul Tremblay, just being released in July, I believe. I was not a fan of that book for several reasons. I'm not going to spoil anything if you still have to read it and you want to read it but you haven't yet. I'm just going to say that it's always very well written, like all of Paul Tremblay's books, but it's not one of my favorite because I didn't think that the plot was actually that interesting. There were not that many twists, and even though all of his books are kind of a slow burner, which I'm fine with because I absolutely love the Paul Bearers Club, I don't think that this one actually lives up to the expectations because everyone had such high expectations for his new release, and I, for one, was not entirely happy. It is not a bad book by any means. It's well written, as I said, and it's a really good story, but I did not connect with the characters as much as I did with other books. One book that I really enjoyed, though, was the latest book by Riley Saga, and it was Middle of the Night. And that one, indeed, was almost the opposite of the latest one by Paul Tremblay, because I really connected with the characters. And actually, at the end, I became very emotional because the story is actually it's very strong, it's very intense, but there's a lot it reminds me a lot of many books where this coming of age and a group of kids that become adults and they have to respond to the consequences of what happened when they were kids. And I know it's a very well-known trope also in the horror genre. If you think about many of Stephen King's books, you will see that developing in the story. But I really enjoyed that one. And last but not least, I convinced myself to read The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. And as always, I just don't enjoy her books very much. I think that, as well as Paul Tremblay's, she has a really wonderful writing, mastering skills, and she's excellent. There were twists, but they were not, let's say, strong or powerfully or emotionally powerful enough for me to actually be shaken, and I didn't really connect with the characters either. So this is what I have been up to in my month of July. It's been a very intense month because I was filming a lot of videos, preparing to go away, and then we left, and then we had the first week, which was very dynamic, doing a lot of things, moving to a lot of different locations, and there's a lot to come, so we will be going to Vietnam as well, and I'm really hopeful to be able to film from a tarot museum, which is in the Mekong Delta, so that will be very interesting. And I will also be visiting one of the biggest brick-and-mortar tarot shops in the world, which is in Ho Chi Minh City, and I'm so very excited about that. But for today, that's all, and have a nice day.